More than 180,000 people across France march against soaring anti-Semitism amid the Israeli-Hamas war. More than 180,000 people across France, including 100,000 people in Paris, marched peacefully on Sunday to protest against rising anti-Semitism in the wake of Israel's ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza. Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne, representatives of several parties on the left, conservatives and centrists of President Emmanuel Macron party, as well as far-right leader Marine Le Pen, attended Sunday's march in the French capital amid the tight security. Macron did not attend, but expressed his support for the protest and called on citizens to rise up against the unbearable resurgence of unbridled anti-Semitism. However, the leader of the far-left France Unbowed party, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, stayed away from the march, saying last week on X, formerly Twitter, that the march would be a meeting of friends and unconstitutional support for the massacre. Friends of unconstitutional support for the mass. Wait. However, the leader of the far-left France stayed away from the march, saying last week on X, formerly Twitter, said that the march would be a meeting of friends of unconditional support for the massacre in Gaza. But yeah, okay, so what he's saying is that the people for the march are for the massacre. The Interior Ministry said that at least 182,000 people marched in several French cities in response to the call launched by leaders of parliament, upper and lower houses. No major incidents has been reported, it said. Paris authorities deployed 3,000 police troops along the route of the protest called by the leaders of the Senate and the Parliament lower house, the National Assembly, amid alarming increase in anti-Jewish acts in France since the start of Israel war against Hamas after its October 7th surprise attack on Israel. France is the largest Jewish population in Europe, and given its own World War II collaboration with the Nazis, anti-Semitic acts today open old scars. Holding a French flag, Robert Friel said marching against anti-Semitism is more than a duty. It's a march against violence, against anti-Semitism, against all that are infiltrating the society to show the silent majority does exist, the 67-year-old said. Family members of some of the 40 French citizens killed in the initial Hamas attacks, those missing or held hostage, also took part in the march, which police said drew 105,000 participants. Patrick Klugman, a lawyer and member of a Freedom committee working to obtain the release of people held by Hamas and other groups in Gaza, said the large participation in the march is meaningful and symbolic and reassuring Jewish communities in France. I am proud of my country because of this mobilization, Klugman said. I feel less alone in the past weeks and days. Jonathan could be J. Could be like a J sound. Arafi, the president of Representative Council of Jewish Institutions in France, known as CRIF, said he was encouraged Sunday's show of support, but the question remains, he told French broadcaster BFM at the march. What will be done against anti-Semitism tomorrow? What will be done tomorrow? Tomer Sisley, an Israeli and French actor, insists the massive show of solidarity proves that the majority of French citizens are against violence and hate against any religious and ethnic group. We're not Jews, we're not Muslims, we're not Christians, Sisley said. We are French, and we are here to show that we are all together. French authorities have registered more than 1,000 acts against Jews around the country in the month since the conflict in the Middle East began. Former French President Francis Hollande said there are many French flags in the protest, but what unites us is not just a flag. It's what represents its value of freedom and the value of human dignity. In a letter addressed to the French on Sunday, Macron vowed that its perpetrators will be prosecuted and punished. A France where our Jewish fellow citizens are afraid is not France, Macron said in the letter published in Le Parisien newspaper. He called up the country to remain united behind its values and work for peace and security in all of the Middle East. Macron said he will attend in my heart and spirit, but not in person. My role is to build the unity of the country and be firm on its values, Macron said Saturday on the sidelines of Armistice Day, commemorations to mark the end of World War I. French far leader Marine Le Pen attended Sunday's march amid fierce criticism that her once Pira National Rally Party had failed to shake off anti-Semitic heritage despite growing political legitimacy. After arriving to the march, the president of the Jordan, Bardella Le Pen, dismissed critics and said that she had the party members are exactly where they needed to be. She called on other politicians to take a break from fermenting political controversies during the march. Le Pen and other far-right officials showed up at the end of the march, hundreds of meters away from the government members and other officials who led the demonstration. Born, who is the daughter of a Jewish Holocaust survivor, tweeted, "The presence of national rally is not fooling anyone." The president of the Paris Region Council, Valeric Pécresse, a former conservative president candidate, denounced hypocrisy, saying that National Rally officials ran against her in past elections, who were clearly anti-Semitic people, and Marine Le Pen never sanctioned them. As of Saturday, officials counted 1,247 anti-Semitic acts since October 7th, nearly 3 times as many in the whole of 2022, according to the Interior Ministry. I don't know what that means. What's an anti-Semitic act? Sunday's march in Paris appears to be the biggest gathering to denounce anti-Semitism in France since a 1990 demonstration against the desecration of a Jewish cemetery. France has banned a number of pro-Palestine demonstrations, although supporters have marched in several French cities in the past weeks, including thousands demanding ceasefire in Gaza and a protest in Paris last Sunday.